So, Ravens flock, we are about more or less 3 weeks away from the regular season starting, and we're all excited to see our favorite teams get back out there and finally have that redemption arc what we've been waiting for them to have. But another thing that does make the season more exciting is getting into fantasy football. I really wasn't into it until about like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but it ended up being more fun than I expected. So I just do it now on a regular. I try to stay away from things tied to the Ravens in fantasy because I already feel stressed out about wanting us to win every Sunday. I usually don't want that added stress of thinking to myself, man, I hope this player or that player can get enough points so they could help me win for the week. But when it comes to the Ravens defense, I am strongly considering bringing in their defense onto my roster when it's time for me to draft. This defense, at least on paper, they should be way better than they were last year. And there's an argument that they could be better or more talented than what they were in 2023. And we all know that in 2023 we had a historically great defense, like at least for this current generation of the past like 15 years. That was easily one of the better defenses in the past 15 years. But as far as some of the key upgrades we made this year, you look at our cornerback room, we have to have the deepest cornerback room in football. Like, we basically have four starters at corner. When you look at Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Shadobi Awuzie, and Jair Alexander, like, the worst person in that group is Shadobi Awuzie, who still can be a respectable starter. Like, that's extremely exciting. Our defensive line should be just as good as they were last year, even though we're going to be missing people like Michael Pierce. But we still got guys like Travis Jones, who's an unsung hero, who I expect to have. I'm expecting him to have a breakout season that's not going to blow up the stat sheet, that's not going to fill up the stat sheet, because unfortunately, the role he's in, he's not going to always be the one to be able to put up the numbers. But we all, as fans watching him on film, we see the dominance that he has. So I'm excited about that. Also, we got Mike Green. If he could get us 5 to 7 sacks, I would be more than happy with that. But I'm expecting Owe to have a monster season. I'm expecting Matabike to also have a monster season as well. Both of them, well, no. Owe has a contract coming up. Matabike, he's coming off of a slightly down year. I talked about it a few months ago where I said I felt it was a bit underwhelming, but he was getting used to getting double teamed for the first time. I think this year he's going to come back even better. I expect both of them to put up double-digit sacks. And that's really the main things that it comes down to when it comes down to defense in fantasy football, is really just sacks, picks, yards allowed, points allowed. And I think we should be much better in the yards allowed and points allowed department compared to what we were last year. Like, last year, for most of the year, we had like the 31st ranked pass defense. It didn't matter if you were Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, or freaking Gardner Minshew. Everybody was going out against us and completely airing us out. But again, we made several upgrades. Marcus Williams and Brandon Stevens, who both had bad seasons last year, they're no longer in the building. We got Malachi Starks as well as Jair Alexander. I'm expecting that to make a huge difference. I don't think we're going to be giving up nearly as many yards or points this year. Not saying we're going to be nearly as good as what we were in 2023, because in this day and age, considering how pass happy the NFL is and considering how many flags get thrown around and the fact that they clearly want games to have higher scores, what we were in 2023 when we only gave up like 15, 16 points a game, that's probably the best you could possibly do in this generation. But even if we get to a point where we're only giving up 19 points a game, I think that would still be more than worth it at that point. I'm expecting us to have another season where we put up 50 plus sacks as a team. We're the only team in NFL history to put up 50 plus sacks in back-to-back seasons, which is what we did in 2023 and 2024. Hopefully we can make more history and do it for a third consecutive year. But let me know, do you think this Ravens defense has the potential to dominate in fantasy football? Or do you just think that even though we sound good on paper, it's just going to be another year where we give up way more points than we should and we allow people like Gardner Minshew to make us look crazy?